Welcome back guys to another video. Today we're going to be looking at a race around Imola. Right here you'll hear me struggling to get my seat in the correct position, but we're starting this race off on wets. The strategy was turned around, so we started on wets going to slicks at the end. Me not having really good track knowledge,
There's like every other racer.
I did not know
Why am I getting tackled,
how
bro?
to maneuver around this track, what
What
line
in
to
the
take.
world
I
is
tried to
this?
follow the bots here,
Who was on my
but
inside, bro? It was like
it
Alex
ended up
Albon not too long
being
ago.
a really big roller coaster of a race, if I had to say. You'll see my race in this video begin to unravel a lot of times, and in the end we've brought back somewhat of a comeback, but it's just hard in the rain without traction control, or my pedals kind of not working in this video. My pedals will flutter, either my brake or my accelerator will kind of
Imola is the
flutter.
worst
And that
track.
is not
I do
my
not
is
think
not
this is
my
a good
doing.
random
It
track.
is solely the pedals just not working. But as you saw in the beginning, kind of got rammed from the outside by Alex or Alonso, and
Oh,
taking
too
a
wide.
corner and taking the chicane here, I couldn't really. It was really hard in the rain to gain traction, to try not to spin out, try to keep up with the people in front, and as you start to see, they start to pull a little bit of a gap, and eventually they're just gone in the front, with no chance of coming back. So I focused my attention to the people behind me, trying to defend my position. I know it's only
People
lap
get
2
gap
out of
here.
32 laps, but try to defend my position. You'll start to see around the next couple of laps, I would eventually begin to start learning the track a lot more, learning how to brake, what gears for what corners, and I would eventually get some of these corners really nice, and eventually get a really good fast lap. Uh, but all of that to say, there were some corners where I would just push too hard. And you'll see in the next lap here what happens when you push too hard in the rain. Coming around the next chicane, going into the long straight down into the double left-hand corner. We'll catch our first caution, as you'll see Max has spun out to the left side of the road and is out of the session, as it'll appear right here. Yellow flag is out for a caution, and Max is now out of the session, and the VIS is, or the VSC is deployed. Now I am trying to think whether I should box this lap to change my tires to inters, depending on the rain, because the rain did not last that long in this race. It lasted for a couple laps until it started dying down, and it would eventually be safe to go onto the hard tire. So now with Max out of the session, I did not have to worry about that manufacturer, that
Question is,
rival
how's the
being
rain?
an issue. But I will have to focus on the cars ahead of me, trying to catch up. As you can see on the map there's a big gap between me and Hamilton in front. There's about a 7.5 second gap there. And the virtual safety car, I think, came in this lap after they cleaned up the whole incident with Max.
Right, drop your speed. Our delta's too low and we're going to risk a penalty. Slow your pace immediately.
I think it was right about the upcoming chicane after this corner. I think they ended the safety car. Yeah,
Okay,
right there you see
VSC ending. We're going green.
virtual safety car ending at the chicane.
Delta until the green flags.
Later on, around 3 laps later, I'll end up going into the pit about a lap after my teammate went into the pit to intermediate as the rain died down a lot. As you can see, it's no longer raining as hard as it once was. And here, yeah, I go into the pits mindful that I do not want to get another speeding in the pits penalty. So I bring down the speed and try to keep it right on the edge,
Okay, forget the tyres for
just to
now.
get
Let's
some,
focus on
just
the
to not
future.
waste much time. Here, I don't know how I got like a 0 second. I don't know how I turned in at like
Okay,
0 seconds. I was kind of focused on something else at the moment, and then I panicked and I clicked, and I somehow got it like right on 0. But we pitted to intermediates. I was hoping to come out and try this back, but apparently we didn't have much of a gap, so we're gonna get out in some
pit
traffic
strategy
here
complete.
with the
Switching these
all the
tyres
other
through to
cars
the end
passing
now.
by. Now, when it came to the intermediate tires, I really did feel much better with pushing more on these tires, especially as you can see now. There's an actual racing line that's starting to appear, a dry line
Okay,
appearing
blocking more. It's time to
on the
utilise some
track.
of this energy.
So I
Come on.
did feel a lot more grip in the tires. It felt quite I felt quite comfortable now, as I knew the car wouldn't slip as easily, even though it is still raining, so I have to be careful, taking turns and over accelerating out of corners. But I ended up picking up the pace a little bit, trying to keep up with Albon here in front in the Williams car. I take the chicane, almost going to the back of Albon. I really try to, in the moment, I try to brake, and I actually in real life got really scared, so I kind of slammed on the brake a little bit. But I really did try to keep up with Albon, try to keep him in the slipstream. So, and with a bunch of other cars in front of me, I used some ERS here to try to overtake Albon. And the thing with these bots is that when they see you coming up and moving over, they defend against you. So I try to move over onto the outside of the line with Albon on the inside, and I get the move done. Great. Now behind Kimi Antonelli.
Nice move. Good job.
Now the reason I think why I kept on catching up and why my pace was a little better on this part of the circuit was because I really did with these tires. I really trusted them and the brakes with and the car to brake later into that double left-hander going onto this main straight, and I think that was what helped me kind of uh, rocket the car forward and catch up with the cars in front of me. This was the turn though that really I was really careful about because I have spun out here, and as you can see, I'll go wide as I go into the back of Kimi accidentally, and I'll make another mess up here going onto the grass. Essentially being
Okay, careful with the overtakes. That could be
perfectly
risky. Watch
lined
your
up to
speed
go straight into
penalty.
the barrier, but there I try to get out, trying not to cause any collisions, and that's where my race kind of unraveled right there. So now down
Okay,
into
Charles, you've got
P18
to move up
behind
wherever you
Ocon.
can, so I'm setting you a new target. Push on.
I was really frustrated at this point because I really was getting tired of this race because of the rain and how basically the entire thing of this race. I did not know the layout of this track at all. I tried to push as hard as I could without really knowing this track. And I mean, that's what happens when you try. But I tried to catch up, and eventually I did catch up back to Kimi. Fast forward 6 laps later, Kimi is now in the pits, so I caught up to him, I passed him as he's going in the pits, and I believe it was the next lap that I pitted that I actually met Kimi again as he passed me. But now, as you can see, the conditions are looking way nicer than they did before, and I'm still on the intermediate, so that's why next lap I believe I'm going to the pit. Yeah, as you can see there, I'm boxing this lap.
Copy that, Hards, next time we box. Pitting this lap then, come into the pits at the end of this lap. Weather's changing now, you might want to review our strategy. Copy that. Confirmed, we'll receive you at the end of this lap.
Now, as I enter the pits, I am pitting 2 hards this lap, a lap later, and I am really focusing on how much time and positions I'm going to lose, because I really want to make at least top 10 in this race to not, well, since the last video was pretty much a whole wreck, I really wanted to try to make at least top 10 in this video. So I decided to push a little hard on these, these hard tires.
Okay, stay clear.
And as you'll see over the course of the rest of this video, I currently have the fastest lap, and it was going to be like this for, I believe, just the beginning of this lap, as George and then Ocon will set the fastest lap time. And it would just be throughout the race back and forth between who would set the fastest lap time. And I believe in the end, I did set the fastest lap time. A 21 flat, I believe. 21 flat.
We've got a lot of spare energy, okay to use your overtake button. No tyre concerns at the moment, just focus on the driving. Okay, keep an eye on that gap ahead, please. 6.3 seconds. Okay, here's the gap that we're trailing the car ahead by. 2.5 seconds. Great work. That's a new fastest lap of the race.
Over the next couple of laps, I would start to catch up slowly to Stroll and Sainz, and eventually the people up front. As you see, these are the main two guys I need to catch up to, until I finally got to I guess, the bigger pack up ahead. I eventually used DRS and overtake to try and
Really good job on hitting that
get
target.
through Stroll, and I eventually did, overtaking on the inside into the first turn. And now I had my sights focused on the both of the Williams members, drivers. I had my sights on them. Now I'm still P13 right now, and I was still praying that I was fast enough that I could um, collect more positions as time went on. But it was really, my tires were kind of dying a little bit. But they are hard tires, so I knew they had some durability left in them, some grip left in them. So I just pushed hard on these tires to try and finish the race on these tires, but still catch up and get under 10th place. Eventually I did.
Okay, you're creating some breathing space between you and the car behind by a few seconds a lap. Really good stuff.
Now coming down to the double left-hander, I would be able to catch up to Sainz, and eventually on the main straight I would beat him with some DRS and ERS. I'd beat signs, not before I had a little moment on the exit of the second double left hand. But I eventually overtook him and had my sights set on Hulkenberg and Albon, the next group of cars that I had to catch up to. Now I was here what I hope was fading for something under 10th place. As there were 7 laps, and with the tires wearing and my grip starting to, I guess, diminish, I couldn't see getting under 10th, catching up to the next group after them. But as you'll see, my hope kind of skyrockets as I start inching very close to them. Just in not even half a lap, I catch up around almost about a second. I catch up.
Okay, Charles. Right, we've got some clear track in front of us, so let's make best use of it and make the next lap a quick one. You got this.
Yeah, okay.
And it wasn't to the following lap where I finally caught up with Hulkenberg and the 3 cars in front, and I was trailing behind. And I almost go into the back of Hulkenberg here, but I managed to keep it behind and not damage my car, as I've done many times before. And my hope now started to skyrocket, as I knew I could probably finish at least P6 or P7 in this race. You see my the person that almost took me out earlier in this video. I mean, it's kind of my fault, but still, Kimi Antonelli, 2 positions up. You see him right there. If you take the double left, kind of good, onto the main straight, and I'll try my best to catch up with them. Now only 4 laps remaining, and I'm slowly catching up to them. My pace is really good now. I know the track, although my tires are diminishing, getting destroyed. They're begging for help right now. And it would be right here where I start to make my moves, overtaking Albon and Pierre Gasly on this on this straight, or should I say straight? Rather like a long left. I overtake Albon as he has a poor exit coming out of that turn. I have my eyes set on Gasly here, P9. I'm really getting into it now. Heart's racing. And I overtake Pierre Gasly. I'm using the same moves to overtake everybody on this little part coming up to the chicane. Now, I did not want to end up wrecking and causing another crash to myself or to anybody else in this race again. So I tried my absolute best to get as close as I could to Kimi here. And I did as much as possible. I did enough to get into DRS. And I overtook him around the inside of this upcoming left-hander. I squeeze him over as as a screw you for almost killing me, but he ends up coming back trying to fire from the outside of that turn. And now in P8, I knew I had my goal set on Lawson. Now, if I was to try and get P6, it would take a miracle for me to catch up to Alonso 5 seconds in front, especially with only 3 laps left. I know it takes me around 2 laps at a good pace to get that time down, So I had my focus set on P7 here, trying to finish P7. So I'm fighting against Lawson and come up from behind him. And I tried to overtake right here, and I knew it wasn't going to work. So I tried to go up the inside, but I knew that I didn't want to risk a crash there. So I just keep it easy. Try have a moment right there, a big moment right there. And I lose a position or two. I think Kimmy was the only one that overtook me there, yeah. And I fire again right at Kimmy. Go up the inside to this double left, leading back onto the main straight. Now with only 2 laps to go in this race, I'm trying to fight for P7 here, trying to get a good finish or a decent finish compared to the last video in the Suzuka circuit. And I overtake Lawson here with some overtake, trying not to wreck myself going too fast. And now I just have to defend from here. This is the moment that this is the moment I've been waiting for. This is the the position I've been asking for. So all I had to do now was defend for the next 2 laps. I knew I could possibly catch up to Alonso, and I was trying to keep pace up, so maybe I could, but the main goal here was to try to defend against the people behind me. Eventually coming to lap 30, the end of lap 32, I defended the entire way as much as possible. I wasn't able to catch up or even get the gap down, as you see the gap increase, but I was able to get away with a 7th. From 3rd to mishaps that happened, and I was able to get P7, coming back all the way from P, I believe it was 17 or 18.
The other guys in front were doing.
That was a really good race. I really liked this race, and I hope you guys enjoyed this race too. P7, I'm waiting for the next race, and I believe it's Monaco, so I have to win that one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.